When I got home, I shook the catch bucket out in front of the swarm trap, which contained the comb that I had cut out. The bees went into the swarm trap, but they didn't have the purposeful march into the trap that you would expect to see if they had the queen, which made me even more certain that I did not catch the queen in this extraction. I'll show you how I resolved that queenless issue in a future video. I have this small colony, which is a small swarm that is pretty weak and probably doesn't have much chance going into winter unless I really feed them a lot, and even then I'm not sure they'd be able to store up much. They've had a laying queen, so she's been laying eggs, and I'm optimistic about that, but they're such a small colony. I think my better option is to, they're not storing up anything in there. They really haven't had many foragers going out. I think most of the bees in here are dedicated to taking care of what brood they have, and we'll see what brood they have. Not even any eggs in there, so we'll see if they even still have a laying queen. If they still have a queen, I mean, be better off to pull her and give her to another colony. They have very young brood, so there must be a queen around here somewhere unless they've just taken off, but that is pretty young larvae in there. In fact, I see some eggs in there, so that queen must be around here. They do have some nectar stored up, but they have almost no chance. So I think what I'll do is pull the queen and use her to help out the colony from the cutout, which I'm pretty sure is queenless. At this point, I'm actually kind of hoping that the cutout colony doesn't have a queen, because there's just not enough bees in here to really do anything. I'm not sure what's happening with their brood. Probably not enough bees to really take good care of them. So it seems like it's kind of a situation where this queen needs a better colony, and that colony needs a queen. There she is. Alright, I should have had my quick cage ready, but I'll set this in the middle. She probably won't go anywhere. Got a cage, got a cork to plug it temporarily, and I've got some marshmallows that I'll use to make a sugar plug when I put her in the other colony. The queen did not stay on that frame like I was expecting, but because I was so sure she would be there, I spent a ridiculous amount of time searching for her. Finally, when I got frustrated at not being able to find her, I shook the bees off of it into a box lid where I thought I might be able to search for her easier, and didn't find her there. So I finally took the box and shook out all the bees from the box into a box lid. And then once I did that, I was able to search through that small bunch of bees and find the queen and get her into a cage. Got her in the cage. Now we'll move her over. So now I have my colony from the cutout, which I'm pretty certain is queenless. I did not see the queen during the cutout, and when I brought them home and shook the catch bucket out in front of this 7-frame bait hive, which is where I put the comb that I cut out, they marched in, but it just wasn't as vigorous as you would expect, as if they knew the queen was there. Ever since I brought these home, whenever I check on them, just kind of to see what's going on here, they're always kind of milling about in front of the hive. I think they're staying here because there are frames with brood inside, but otherwise they don't seem particularly connected to the box. As I stand here, I can hear them humming pretty loud, which is often a characteristic of a queenless colony. If they had a queen, they would be more content and a little quieter. So let's open it up, see how they're doing. I have not opened this box since I brought it home. I'm hoping that the comb that I cut out is still in decent shape, depending on how the rubber bands held on the trip home and how quickly the bees have cut those rubber bands. We may have a mess inside. I plan to take these 2 colonies, if you can call this one a colony, their population is so small, they're not even really functional. But I'm going to take these two and move them into this box. It's a 12 frame hive. It's not insulated. I would prefer it be an insulated hive that I move these into, but I don't have one available right now. So we're going to put them in here, which is currently unoccupied. I cut out 5 brood frames, and then I have 2 additional frames which are just starter comb. We'll see what we find. This is a pretty good sized colony, so I'm kind of expecting them to be fairly populous in here still. This first frame has some bees on it. They're kind of hanging in there. I see some honey on the bottom, which I'm not crazy about, but the comb I can see still seems to be in place where I left it. And this piece of brood comb, they have taken off all but one of the rubber bands, but it does look like they've attached that comb to the side. So at least they've got that going for them. This is kind of warping a little bit. I'm going to try to push it back a little. I'm not going to do much to it though. That's okay if it's not perfectly straight. Now I'm going to see, I'm just going to set this queen cage here and see how these bees respond. See if they come rushing out and if they seem like they're trying to feed her. If they already have a queen, they'll be hostile to this one and will try to sting her through the screen. But I'm not seeing anything like that. I'm seeing a lot of bees with their heads down, trying to get to that queen to take care of her. So I think it's pretty clear they are looking for a queen. So we'll just set that queen cage aside for a minute and move some frames. This next frame they've got attached to the walls very nicely. Removed almost all the rubber bands that were actually holding it, but they've got it connected at 3 points, one on each side and at the bottom, so that's going to stay in place nicely. Plus it's a really nice frame of capped brood, so good to have that in there. They've been very proactive about removing those rubber bands, but also have been attaching that comb really nicely. Really good population in here. This is a great contrast to what I was seeing in that small colony, so I think this is a real good fit to be able to requeen this colony with the queen from the other. Kind of a best case scenario for both. Now this next piece of comb may be a little bit different story. It does not look like it is attached, except maybe to the bottom, which is not really where I want it. No, it's falling. We may just let that one go. It's obviously nothing there right now. They've released all the rubber bands except the ones at the very top, and it's just a narrow piece of comb. Not sure what we're going to do with that right now. We'll take that out here in a second. The next frame is leaning a little bit, but the comb is still attached on each side. Gonna straighten it up just a little. It doesn't really want to stay, but it is attached on 2 sides and the bottom. I actually would like that comb to be in a better place. See if I can straighten that at all with some rubber bands. Going to take a little tension to pull it back in. We'll put several rubber bands on here because they're going to be chewing them out of there pretty quickly based on what I've already seen. I think I'll get at least 4 on here. Now it's starting to draw in. Maybe I'll throw a 5th. And I wouldn't be so concerned about this if I was just putting empty comb next to it. I might kind of let them do what they do, but I want to put a full frame of comb next to this from that other colony. So there, that seems pretty good. This last frame that's in here is just a frame with some starter comb on it. So I'll shake that over here, but leave it out for right now. Okay, now about this comb that fell out. This is the piece, and it's actually upside down right now. It was tilted the other way, which I don't remember why I would have put it in there. Maybe it turned or something. And I probably will just put it inside of this hive, but put it in the open end away from the frames. There is some nectar in there, so I want to give that back to the bees. Now I want to shake these bees into that box, but I'm going to clear out some of these rubber bands before I do. And we'll move these bees over. Now I'm going to take this queen and set her at the bottom of that last frame. I'm going to take a piece of marshmallow, or a small marshmallow, and use that as a candy plug in that queen cage. Should have rolled this marshmallow in my fingers to squish it down, but okay, we're getting it. Alright, so I got marshmallow in there. Let the bees chew that out, and we'll put this queen cage inside of the hive. Now, I'm going to try to set her in there, hold my phone with one hand while I set her in there with the other. Just set her on top of the bottom bar of that frame and let the bees remove that plug. Now that we have the queen in there, I will move some of these other frames from this small colony. Some of these are just empty comb I had included in there. I'm not going to bother moving those over if they haven't put anything in them. But I am going to move over the frames that have some resources and some brood. So that gives me 7 frames inside of this hive, and I have a divider board up against the end here. I don't normally do that, but with winter coming on, that'll give a little bit more thermal mass or a little separation from this end wall, because these are old Langstroth boxes that were converted to a 12 frame Layens hive. It is not insulated. And I'll put the divider board up against this end. This is a 1/2 inch divider. It's not a 3/4 inch. I may replace that with a 3/4 inch before winter, but for now this will work for them. And then I'll take that comb that I cut out, which is right here, or I guess I didn't cut it out, I just left it out. It fell out of its frame, and I'll put that in this other end. It has some nectar stored up in it, so I really want to give that back to these bees. Rubber band. I'll try to lean this in here kind of up against the wall so they can access all sides of it. And then I'll clean that out later. Now I'll take the bees on this board. This is the board I shook the bees out on. It's actually a divider board. I wonder if that will fit in here. We'll try this. I'll shake the bees out first thing. Let's see if this fits. It does. What about the depth? Just about right. So I'm going to take out this 1/2 inch divider and put in this 3/4 inch divider. That should be a little better for winter. So now I have 7 frames in there and the divider board. And I'm going to take one empty frame, put up against that divider board. That'll help to keep the divider board in place. It also, and this is not an issue so much in the fall, but it could be during nectar flow. If a colony is building up during nectar flow and they fill up the frames they have, then having a frame on the outside of the divider board where they have a gap under the divider board to get to that open space That additional frame gives them a place to build comb if they run out of space. When a colony runs out of space inside of their hive, they have two options. Either they can start building comb in an adjacent space, or they'll prepare to swarm. And if you don't have that gap under the divider board so they can access the adjacent space, they only have one option, and that's to prepare to swarm. Again, I'm not too concerned about it this time of year, but that's always a consideration. I just try to make it a habit of always putting at least one frame up against my divider board on the opposite side. Now I'm going to take these bees and shake them out. And we should be good to go. Obviously we got bees flying around here looking for where the heck did their hive go. I'm hoping we'll get a few fanning here pretty soon to draw the rest of them in, but as they swirl around, hopefully they will find their way to this hive. So that pretty much wraps up this cutout. In some ways it was a successful cutout in that I got a good number of bees, I got all the comb out of the cavity, which is what the client wanted, and I got some good brood comb that I was able to cut out. On the unsuccessful side, I didn't get the queen, but thankfully I had that other colony that had a queen in need of a good colony. It looks like they should accept her all right. Hopefully that'll be the case. We'll check back in a few days and find out. Now it's just a matter of these bees finding their way to this hive. There were a bunch of bees at the entrance just a minute ago. I'm really hoping somebody will start fanning here and draw the rest of those bees in. I may put a drop of lemongrass oil there to kind of try to help things along. But overall, I feel like it's a pretty good outcome. I'm pretty happy with how this worked out. I think I have a much better colony going into winter now than what I had in that 5-frame box. If you look below this video screen, you'll see a button marked join, and that is to join my members only YouTube community. And if you do that, then you'll be able to see my next video earlier than most other people. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll check out this one that YouTube has selected especially for you. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.